On a sunny, warm, early summer's day, I'm headed out to Garni. Now, I've been to Garni many times, like many people in Armenia, but I'm going out there today if I can find out something new and fresh about it. There's always a good chance of doing that, so tag along, see what we find out. Garni Temple in the village of Garni. At 8,000 people, Garni is one of the oldest Armenian settlements in the country. The temple was built on a fortress that was built in the 3rd century BC, the temple actually being built in the 1st century AD, and then was destroyed in an earthquake in 1679. In the 1930s, it was rebuilt, perhaps not in an entirely architecturally sensitive way, and then again in the 1960s, another restoration was done. It's an interesting place, right on the edge of a gorge, so let's go have a look around. Built as a pagan sun temple, not as a fire temple as some people believe, it was also used by Christian Armenian kings as a summer residence after Armenia was Christianized in the 4th century. And as you can see, in the renovation of the temple at various times, new stones have been mixed with the old ones. It's quite clear which one are the old, which one are the new. And indeed, there are many different inscriptions on this temple. Right on this corner, for example, during the last 20 centuries, the Greeks have been through and inscribed their stories on there. You have Armenian text on this stone, and on this stone in the corner, you have the Aramaic. And if we go inside, you're going to see why some people think that this was built as a pagan fire temple and not a sun temple. Because this hole in the ground looks like a fire pit. However, it is indeed a sun temple. The Garni Temple, an amazingly unique piece of architecture, pagan temple, still standing in Christian Armenia. There are a couple of other interesting stories about the Garni Temple. The holes in the side of the foundation of this temple indicate that a story I've heard might be true. The building originally was made by iron ore reinforcement rods. Those rods at some time in history, I'm not sure when, were dug out and used somewhere else because the value of the material at the time was extremely high. Interesting story. Another one. Let's see if I can get over here. This is the pagan temple. This is a Christian church, or at least the ruins of a Christian church. This is the church of Saint Zion that was built in the 7th century by an Armenian prince. Now, why would they build a temple and a church 1 millimeter from each other? The story goes, another one that I've heard, not sure of, is that the sister of the prince who built the church insisted that the pagan temple not be torn down. So the prince said, okay, I will leave you with your pagan temple, but I'm going to build a church right next to it. And indeed, he did, with 1 millimeter between them. And off to the side of the Garni Temple, you have the Roman baths. Also a very important historical site for the history of this area. If you look here, this was the dressing room of the Roman baths. If we go around the corner here, you're going to see this is the cold room. And if we back up a little bit this way, you'll see the tepid room with the air channels underneath. So these stones you see were actually pillars holding up the floor. And if we go into the last room here, we are in the hot room. This was the sauna. And if you look very closely, it's quite dirty, but still you can see the mosaic on the floor and what is now a quite famous inscription in Greek on the floor of it saying, "We received no dead fish either from the ocean or from the sea," meaning that we had frustrated mosaic experts laying the floor on this sauna and they were not being paid. As you can see, it's not the most delicate of restorations done. It needed to be covered, so 10 years ago it was done in a rather cheap plastic way. I understand that there is a group of international archaeologists going to come to this site during this summer actually and do some more digging, make more discoveries. I hope also they will have a look at the way this very interesting site is presented, because right now it's frankly not very interesting. A visit to the Garni Temple and the Roman baths at the same place. Garni is a place that almost every tourist who comes to Armenia visits, but how much do they actually know about it? We didn't know a lot about it, so we were asking the tour guides that we happened to see pass through, and we found out that they don't know a lot more than we do. So it was interesting anyway to see Garni and learn a few more details about the church next to it, about the Roman baths, and about the iron bars that were taken out of it. An interesting place, like so many others in Armenia.